A question that I get asked quite a bit is how long does it take, or how much therapy does it take to recover from narcissistic abuse? I feel like this is a very important topic, and one for those of you that are considering therapy or consultations or counseling. I'm going to be talking about this in the video, and I'm going to be unpacking this, because if you have ever wondered or ever worried or ever thought about it, this is what I'm going to be talking about in the video. Hello friends, and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. So in this video, I really wanted to talk about how much therapy does it take to recover from a narcissistic, toxic, or a very emotionally abusive relationship. I think they're all the same thing, but I have to segregate this because you know what? Abuse is abuse. Emotional trauma is emotional trauma, and you experience all of those things in this type of a dynamic. And usually the reason why toxic narcissistic relationships are so taxing on our emotions is because it really does affect us down to the core, our integrity, our values, our morals, and it causes us to question who we really are. And that's the really sad thing about it, is that they do cause us to question who we are, the way that we think about things, the way that we process things, but it's right to the core of us who we are. And I feel like that is the integral part of the therapy. That is the healing part, is who we really are and what do we stand for. That is about re-recognizing who you are, and it's really regaining that sense of self. And this is what I always talk about, is the connection to yourself. All right, and that's really what is important here, and that's what I'm writing my book about, is the connection to yourself. Ultimately, it's rediscovering who you are and really standing in your own power, in your own truth. That is going to really help you to recover from toxic, narcissistic, abusive relationships, because it takes all of that away. Ultimately, the reason why is because this person wants to take you on, wants to take your identity on in some way. It's almost as though they would like you two to blend into one person. That's where all the control comes from. That's where all the manipulation comes from. It's about blending of two people into one. It's almost like a takeover. And the reason why they do that is because they don't know who they are. So this is why it's so important for that toxic individual to be able to conquer you in that way and get you to really, really blend into them, blend into one. And this is where the issue is. It's because we allow it to happen on some level. And then when we don't like, or when we find that our identity, we are being threatened in some way, it's very difficult then to separate from that person, because we have blended with them so much and we forget about our own needs, we forget about who we are. That's why it's so challenging, and that's why the particular type of therapeutic approach that the therapist, the counselor, or the psychologist uses is really important. They need to understand this fundamental issue. But just before I get into the video, I just want to say that I do go live on this channel every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. UK time. But do check the community tab, because I do kind of like post when I'm going to be going live and what topics I'm going to be talking about. Guys, we've got a really supportive community. I would love to see you on there. If you've got questions, or there is something that is bothering you, something that you want to quickly get answered, come on over, because I could be answering your question. And you know what? I'd love to see you there. I'd love to kind of chat with you there on the live, because it isn't all about therapy. It's, I want to connect with you guys. So I'd love to see you there. Come on over. So one thing that you have to kind of understand is that therapy or counseling is going to be a very individual process. for every single person. It's going to be different for every single person. How much time it takes really depends on you, really depends on your ability to be able to process the information, process your emotions, understand your yourself, but also it's a lot of it's to do with resilience and building that, understanding that, implementing this, and also building strong foundations as well. Also, it's a matter of actually knowing your boundaries. So this really ultimately is how long it takes you to come home to yourself, to come back to yourself. And again, this is an individual process. This isn't about racing through it, my friends. Although I know that a lot of you, like, it is challenging because it is a really uncomfortable process. And I do understand that it takes time, and nobody wants to feel like this. But this isn't a race. There isn't like a time frame of when and how long it will happen, because it's different for every single person. Because everybody processes it, everybody understands things in a different time frame to you. You know, some people, like, look, I have clients who are able to get past this in 6 months. Now that is fast. Like, okay, I know you guys are thinking, what, 6 months I've got to feel like this? But you're not going to be feeling how you are right now, you know, the whole 6 months. It is a process. It's a step-by-step kind of process. Like, you're going to feel better. You're going to discover new levels to you. There is levels to this, okay? You are going to understand yourself in a completely different way. It's like what I say, like, this isn't just getting over a person. This isn't just about a relationship and being able to move forward from a relationship. This is so much more. And there is so much that is going to happen on this journey, because it is a journey. It's a process. It's not just, right, I need to forget this person, like I was with them. This isn't about that. Oh, my friends, this isn't about that. And as soon as you understand that, the easier this whole thing is going to get for you, because this is the gift. Don't kill me for saying this, but this is a gift, because now what it's allowing you is to come home to yourself, to connect yourself, to get to understand yourself. So it's not about just getting over a person, a nasty person. No, this is more than that. This is about you building you from the bottom up. This is about the intensity and the length that this relationship was. And it's about rediscovering these elements of you. So don't look at it as, oh, I have to take my time. I'm going to feel like this for 6 months. You know, there's other people, there's other clients that have, you know, taken 2 years, 5 years. But you're not going to be the same person that you were 2 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 months ago, a month ago. Because as you move through these different layers, there's going to be new things that come up. You're going to become such a strong person. And I'll be honest with you, there isn't an end to this, because you're always evolving. And that's what you have to remember. Nothing in life is forever, and nothing stays the same forever. You're always evolving, and that is the key here. For those people that don't evolve, for those people that stay stuck in their life because they get comfortable, they stay the same. The same thing over and over again. How boring is that? For those of you thinking, how long is it going to take until you start dating? Well, if that is the main goal of this for you, then you never really look at yourself unless you take that time out to be able to process, until you take that time to heal. So as long as those of you have taken that time to be able to heal, you can date whenever you want. Because if this is what it's about for you, then you can, it just takes no time at all. There are layers to this. And there's complex layers to this. And it's like what I said before, you're not going to stay in the same place. It's not going to feel the same the whole time that you're going through this, because you are moving forward. You are evolving. This is about untangling layers, okay, of your belief, of your desires and your needs and your boundaries, But ultimately, you've got to understand that what you're doing is, even though you're trying to process the end of something toxic, end of something awful, you're also building you. You're also building yourself up. So you're not staying stagnant, you're constantly moving forward. So this is about building up your identity. Where you'd lost your identity, yes, you've processed that this has been a toxic relationship. You've processed that this person is a narcissist, they're toxic, they're awful, you know, and all they were trying to do is trying to ruin who you are. But now what you realize is you're going to build upon your identity. You're going to come home to yourself. Ultimately, you're going to build upon this. You're going to rediscover who you are. You're not staying in the same place. You're not staying in the same place. And it's like an onion. You know, the layers come off. There's another level, another level, another level. Not every level is going to be painful, and not every level is going to be as complex as the other. It really just depends on you, your upbringing, your past experiences. So in order to fully heal, okay, that doesn't take a long time to heal from a relationship, but to fully heal, to fully understand yourself, this is going to take a while. And also, this journey is amazing, because if you track your progress of how it was, you know, a year ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, you're not going to be the same person, and you're going to realize that you're going to see life completely differently to how you did before. And that is the beauty of this. Seeing life in a completely different way than what you did before. Another aspect that I really wanted to kind of look at here is the type of therapy that you have really matters. Because, all right, you can do talking therapy, you can talk about this to process this, but in order to move past trauma, there's different therapeutic methods that need to be applied here. So you're going to have different approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR, trauma-focused therapy, and there's also psychodynamic. Whilst at the beginning, what I'm going to say that there's different levels. So you're going to have different therapy right at the beginning to the different types of therapy that you're going to have towards kind of the middle to the end. All right. So right at the beginning, I would say, or I believe, that something like EMDR, eye movement desensitization, and reprocessing, okay, that is going to be integral, because that's more kind of trauma focused, but it's very immediate. It's a very short intervention, but it is so integral to moving past trauma, because it really helps to process that. It's a great way for you to understand and to move through the trauma. So I wouldn't recommend this long term, and I'm sure that the therapist won't either. So then you're going to go on to more kind of trauma-focused therapy, which really looks at the cognitive distortions to really come and understand the trauma and be able to process it, to reprocess it, reframe it. That is also another huge integral part of this. And then possibly using other approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy. CBT is brilliant to understand negative mindsets, negative mind loops, the way that you think, the way that you understand emotions, and what emotions you have attached to certain memories or certain narratives. This is really, really good, and it really helps. There's something as intense as this, I probably wouldn't recommend right at the beginning. It needs to be complete. It needs to be something that deals with the emotional trauma at that time. So this is more kind of like the mid process. And then as we go on, like more long term would be more psychodynamic, understanding patterns, understanding childhood, to be able to understand why these individuals were in your life. And the right type of therapy can really affect the timeline of you moving forward in this. The other thing that you also have to understand, it takes commitment. Like, it takes the regularity, okay, of commitment, because you need to be doing this consistently, because otherwise you're not going to be changing thought patterns, you're not going to be changing behaviors. It's something that needs to be done consistently over a matter of time. So if you can invest all of that time and energy in yourself, then I really would recommend it. Then you're going to move past this quickly, all right? Because if you're investing in yourself, you're trying to rebuild you consistently, then you are going to be working on yourself. You're going to see progress a lot quicker than someone who maybe isn't. The other aspect is rebuilding self-esteem and boundaries. So this is about, again, connecting to yourself to understand what your boundaries are, what it is that your needs are, what it is that you want from your life, who you are, what you stand for. Because again, self-esteem is all about identity, it's all about how you feel about yourself. And again, rebuilding this all works if you understand you. Okay, ultimately the reconnection to you is about understanding what it is that you want, what it is that you need, and what you stand for. That is what is the most important. So if you're regularly engaging in that, then you're going to move through this process a lot faster and a lot quicker than another person who isn't. You need to be able to address trauma responses. So that is all about narcissistic abuse, which leads to symptoms of PTSD and CPTSD. Okay, this is quite traumatic. This is quite intense PTSD, because this is about having repercussions of unprocessed or repressed memories of your body and your mind trying to process the trauma that has happened. So being able to get targeted treatment for PTSD and CPTSD is going to help you to move this through a lot faster. Things like EMDR, CBT, that and trauma-focused therapy is going to really help you to move past CPTSD and PTSD. It's because it's about understanding those traumas. It's where the memory of what has happened to you is being played out again and again because it has not been processed. So if you're at this point, this is where your mind and your body is trying to work through it. It is something that's going to require intervention, and it's not something that you're going to be stuck with going forward in your life, but it is something that's going to require some sort of intervention for you to be able to move past this. So this is about personal growth activities, and there is a core component to this, but recovery often involves more of a holistic approach, because this is where your nervous system has been overstimulated and needs calming down. Also added to that, you need to think about external factors, things that are going to help you through this process, and also support beyond therapy. Because if you're going to be going to therapy, you're going to be going once a week, but what about those other kind of 6 days of the week? Having support groups, having someone there that you can talk to, friends, family, someone that is going to help you through this. And I think support groups are a great way of being able to, like, talk amongst one another. It also helps for you to know that you're not the only one that is going through this. So a sense of belonging, a sense of support really helps you along this journey. You've also got to understand that there's another aspect to this is relapse prevention, and that's all about understanding what has happened, why it's happening, and it's also learning to recognize narcissistic behaviors going forward. It's also understanding your response to them, your triggers as well. So this is going to help you not to fall for another toxic individual, for another narcissist, because all of this can really help you greatly in being able to protect you, understand, perhaps maybe understanding human behavior and why people do this. Again, this is going to prevent and deepen the therapy, with and help you to understand you and your needs. And remember that healing is not linear. Our emotions are not linear. There is going to be good days. There's going to be really good days. But there's also going to be bad days. And it's okay. It's all right. The bad days are bad days. But as long as you understand that there is light and there is the dark, and without the two, there is this polarity that exists in all aspects and all areas of our life, understand that it's okay and you're not failing. Just because you're having a bad day, you're not failing. And it's going to be okay. Trying to get over this type of a relationship will take time, but it's also a great journey of self-discovery. And you will get to know yourself, you'll get to know who you are, you'll get to know so many different aspects of you, which is so important, which is a gift, which also makes you stronger. And just because this person was in your life doesn't mean that this has to be the definition of you, or this has to be a lasting narrative that exists within your life. This is about you moving forward. This is about you becoming. This is about connection to yourself. when you have all of this in place, okay, you are going to be the most strongest, magnetic, most amazing person. Not that you are, not that you're not already, but you just have to discover that within yourself. So if you have enjoyed or liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'd be so grateful. Forward this video to someone who you feel is going through this or might benefit from this. And guys, I really hope to see you in the next video or the next live. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.